Hey everyone, it's Orange. Today I thought I would make a general Hall of Heroes guide. I'm going to tell you guys everything that I know about Hall of Heroes, and this video will be applicable to all future Hall of Heroes, no matter what monsters you have, no matter what stage of the game you're at. And I'm also going to leave you with resources that you can go check out if you want to hear other people's insight on Hall of Heroes and continue your research with Summoner's War. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first step is determining if we are even going to farm the Hall of Heroes at all after it gets announced. I have a personal policy where I keep one of every Nat 4, so if it's a monster that I don't have, I will farm one and keep it. Storage space is really cheap and you won't have a problem with it unless you're a really endgame player. You never know when a monster is going to receive a buff. The Kung Fu Girls are a really good example. They received some buffs and a lot of people were crying because they fed all of their Kung Fu Girls. I like to be on the safe side with this, so I keep one of every Nat 4. Generally, people advise, I think the general agreement is that if it's a light or dark Nat 4, everyone says definitely farm one and keep it because light and dark Nat 4s are so difficult to get. I honestly think the same thing about non-light and dark Nat 4s, and then people do kind of have different opinions on water, wind, and fire Nat 4s, but like I said, I like to be on the safe side. Storage space is cheap. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. After you've decided if you're going to farm one or not, you have to decide if you're going to farm more than one. I've been playing the game for a while, so sometimes I kind of know what I'm going to do, but other times I don't. You guys would be surprised. On some of these Hall of Heroes, it's a little bit difficult for me to decide if it'd be worth it to farm skill ups, so if I don't know, I have to go find out what I want to do. The best places that I like to go get people's opinions on these monsters are Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, and my own guild. I think Reddit's a really good place to just get the most amount of opinions in the least amount of time. So as the Hall of Heroes are announced or after they're announced, a lot of people start talking about it. So I go there, I'll click through some of those and see what people are generally feeling about these monsters, see what they have to say. I might do a little bit more researching myself using the search bar on Reddit. So I'll just kind of generally see what people say. I may have already made up my mind by then. If I haven't, I will have to continue my research. My guildmates are all really sensible people, so I may ask them, hey, what are you guys doing about the Hall of Heroes, to get their opinion on it. I always think it's great to get more than one person's opinion. After that, I have some YouTubers that I really like who I think give good opinions. I'm sure you guys know there are tons of YouTubers and Twitch streamers out there who are high ranked in Arena, Guild Wars. They've been playing for a while. They know what they're doing, so they're always pretty good. After you've figured out how many you're going to farm, you have to figure out what teams you're going to use. If you're able to farm more than one floor, then depending on how fast your teams are for each of those floors, that'll help you figure out which floor you should farm. So first, let's talk about teams. For any of the newer players out there who are looking to get into Hall of Heroes, I have to urge you, continue using those farmable, free-to-play, whatever you want to call them, options. Those options work beautifully in every aspect of the game, and Hall of Heroes is one of those aspects where they work wonderfully. Monsters like Beretta, Sig, Vero, Bella, Bernard, Shannon, Colleen, Mav, etc. There's tons. Continue farming your runes. Runes are king. They are what will progress you through most of the game. Not summoning premiums, that's why I urge people, farm those runes. Your free-to-play options will work beautifully. I'm going to link you guys a video below of someone using Sig, Vero, Bella, Colleen, something to do Hall of Heroes B3 with a 5-minute time. Hall of Heroes isn't really that tricky to figure out teams for. Very standard, well-rounded teams work for Hall of Heroes. The way I figure out my teams is through testing and doing research, or just like seeing what other people are doing. Like I said, I don't know if I said this, but I lurk on Reddit a lot, so I see what people are using there. I ask my guildmates, I check YouTube, I check Twitch. I'm even looking ahead. A lot of Summoner's War is looking ahead for things. I see people using full YOLO B3 teams with Perna, Zyros, etc. So if I ever happen to pull a Perna or Zyros, that's already in my mind, in the back of my mind. I know that it's probably going to be a pretty good Hall of Heroes option that I should try to put in there to help me out. Before Hall of Heroes is released on global server, it's already been out for like 12 hours on the other servers. There's plenty of people posting on Reddit, posting their teams, their run times, their runes, etc., which you can go and look at those things to give you ideas. I don't exactly know how early people know what the waves are going to be. There might be some data mining people can do, so they might even know before anyone gets to see Hall of Heroes. I don't quite know though. So you can go there and kind of prepare yourself. I don't go through that much effort. What I do is whenever Hall of Heroes comes out, I already know teams that work really well for me because, like I said, I've been doing research all along. I've been doing Hall of Heroes for a while. Whenever I build teams for most things, I always start with the monsters that I absolutely need. So this time around, I started testing in B3. What I do is I do about 10 to 15 test runs with slightly minor changes in my team on B3 to get an idea of what teams are working, which teams are faster, and what my B3 time is. Then I can do some math to figure out what my B2 time has to be more efficient than B3. So let's go back to B3. A lot of this is knowing your own limitations, knowing what your runes will let you do, knowing what your monsters will let you do. So me, I know that I absolutely need a healer in B3. I can't not run with a healer yet. So I have 3 options: Bella, Chisoon, or Colleen. I usually start out with Chisoon because she's the strongest one, so I'll put her in there. I usually go with Briand. A lot of people say that Briand is the key to autoing Hall of Heroes B3. He makes things super safe, so I'll use him. I will pay attention to the runs closely and watch them and see if I can get rid of anything. If Briand's not doing anything, if all my monsters never die, I can get rid of him, put something else in that will hopefully make the run faster. So far I have Chisoon, Briand. From there, I usually try to fit in a damage dealer. Theo is my best one. Sig is also a really good choice, but my Sig has garbage runes right now, so I don't want to use him. So I put in Theo. Then I'll usually do something like Vero. Vero's really good for Vero's passive, and he will provide CC for you. Then the last slot, usually I test out Verd, because a lot of people love Verd in Hall of Heroes. Verd sucks for me. Mine doesn't work for some reason. So I tested him, but I found a faster option, so I didn't use him this time around. So that's a team that I'd start out with. Then I'd make minor changes. Once again, paying attention to the runs, seeing what I can do to exchange monsters if I don't need them. Again, it never hurts to ask your guildmates what they're running. Maybe you can get some ideas from them. Some of my guildmates were saying that they were running Galleon, Bernard, Theo, Vero, Briand, well, minus something in there because they had a Chisoon, I think. So that always helps, just mess around, test some runs. After having done like 10 to 15 runs with different options, I will get a good idea of what my time is going to be. If you're able to farm more than one floor, there is some math you can do to figure out which one will be more efficient for you. And the 2 main things that relies on, you have to know your times, like your clear times for each of the floors, and then we also have to know what is the average amount of pieces each floor drops. For that number, the Summoner's War wiki has some numbers, but I think they're wrong. I will link the wiki down below to you guys, but I'm not going to use those numbers because I think they're wrong. The numbers that I'm going to use are from the awesome people from SW Proxy and Swar Farm, Swar Farm, I don't fucking know how you pronounce this, Swar Farm, I guess. So they have been logging runs from the past 2 Hall of Heroes. They have a decent amount of logs, actually. So I'm going to use these numbers because in the past, I remember farming B2, and it didn't seem like the wiki numbers were right. The wiki was saying that there was a 1.5 piece drop average, but I didn't feel like that was the case. And the logs are showing that that is not the case. The logs are showing for B2 that the average drop rate is 1.24 pieces, which seems a lot more like what I was seeing, so I'm going to go with these logs. I will link this stuff down below to you guys. So what I like to do is I like to get my B3 time, and then we figure out what does my B2 time have to be. Since B3 drops an average of 3 pieces and B2 drops an average of 1.24 pieces, we can just do 3 divided by 1.24, which gives us like 4.2. So that basically means we have to do 4.2 B2 runs in the time we do one B3 run. If we can do those B2 runs faster than the time we need, then that'll make B2 more efficient. I will give you guys an example probably on the screen or something. I don't quite know how I'm going to do this, of an example of this, so you can do some math here to figure out which one is most efficient for you based on the pieces that drop. You also have to take into account energy that you're spending and loading screen times. The time that it shows you in-game I don't think it includes the loading screen. So if we have to do 2.4 B2 runs in the time we do a B3 run, you have to keep in mind we have some more loading screens in there. So you can actually time those if you want to get like super into it, or you can just estimate what your times have to be. So for me, I was not able to get my B2 time fast enough. I did the math, found out what it had to be, and I wasn't able to get a team that was fast enough and reliable enough to hit that time to make B2 more efficient for me. So I stuck with B3 this time around. And that pretty much covers how you figure out which floor you're going to farm. And I think that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask down below. Check out all the links down below to learn more about stuff. And that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you guys later.